A very warm welcome to all of you in this meditation session with me, Dhyan Se. Let me tell you why I started this meditation group almost more than 2 years ago. I wanted to share my meditation with you all. Not just me, every meditator, every teacher, every guru, monk, master, anybody who has reached to a point in their meditation where they have deeply seen, felt, understood the nature of consciousness. They came down from whatever they were doing and had the urge to share this with others. You can see this in all cultures, in all traditions, in all parts of the world. All the Buddhas of the world, in their own way, they came to share what they had seen in their meditation with others. What is that? They did that not only because they were compassionate about others, that they saw that people generally are living in unconsciousness and there is misery in unconsciousness, but for even another significant reason why they came to share about consciousness with others. Because they realized that the nature of this consciousness is not personal. Your body is personal. Your mind is to an extent personal. But your consciousness is impersonal, is not just yours. We all share one consciousness. And because of this, they wanted to share this with everybody collectively to understand, realize, and see that the consciousness that we all are experiencing is one consciousness, is one single consciousness. We experience this as an individual consciousness, but it's one single consciousness. Let us very briefly understand this spectrum of consciousness. If you understand, if you see and visualize consciousness on a spectrum and put 6 levels to it, 6 rungs to it, you will see that ordinarily, normally, we live on the rung 3 and 4. Between 3 and 4, this is where we live and experience consciousness as individual conscious. So the number 3 is the individual conscious, and number 4 is the individual unconscious. On this spectrum of consciousness, there is above conscious, below unconscious. And we normally in our life live only on 3 and 4, which is the individual conscious and the individual unconscious. If you read about it, you will always come across this iceberg example where they say 10% of your brain, mind is conscious, 90% of that is unconscious. So this is all level 3 and 4, which is you're experiencing on an individual level. If you look at psychology, Sigmund Freud, he did a lot of work on the individual unconscious on the level number 4, where he tried to find imprints of human psychology, of how we do things, why we do what we do, how we feel in the individual unconscious. For example, if there is some trauma that happened in the childhood, you or anybody went for swimming and for some reason got drowned, then in the individual unconscious, a trauma got established, which then defined how you would react in your life, throughout your life, with water. And these traumas are maybe so strong that you are always afraid of water, not only just going in the ocean, but even a small pond would scare you because there is a trauma that is there in the individual unconscious. So Sigmund Freud, he worked constantly on this layer, this individual unconscious, and tried to explain human psychology with the imprints on this individual unconscious. Then Carl Gustav Jung came and he went one level deeper, level 5, which is the collective unconscious. He said, no, it's not just the individual unconscious that is responsible for how you are, what you feel, how you react in situations, how you operate in situations. He said, it's also because of the collective unconscious, which means how others are having their unconscious impacts how you are behaving in your life. For example, the notion of birth, death, rebirth, anything which is coming out of the unconscious of the collective, it impacts how you think about things. It impacts how you see life. It impacts how you are experiencing life. And then there is one more layer, which is the universal unconscious. We don't have to talk about this in this session, but my point here is all this work that has been done was in the unconscious. In the West, all the work was done on the unconscious, or the majority of work was done to understand how we are, how our psyche is, was based on the study of the unconscious. In the East, where there was a tradition of meditation, they did not care much about the unconscious. They said, rather raise yourself in the conscious, from the individual conscious to something that is higher than that, which is the collective conscious, and to something even higher, number one, which is the universal consciousness. The whole Eastern tradition, wherever you look, wherever there has been significant work done on consciousness, they all came to the same truth, that the universal consciousness is the highest truth. And we all share this one single universal consciousness. Our body, mind, and other aspects of our life can be individual, but consciousness we experience from the spectrum of individual to collective to universal. We only maybe remain in our daily life only in the individual level, individual conscious, individual unconscious, but the entire spectrum impacts us. Why should we care about all these 6 levels and all this breakdown of how the consciousness works? Because what others are experiencing, we also it has an impact on how we are living, how we are operating. This consciousness is like a stream of a river, where you can define your private property. You can say, well, from here to here on the bank of river, I have this house is mine, and whatever is happening here, I decide. But the water that is coming from upstream, whatever it brings, and all what it contains, and it brings in front of your house, you can't control that. The river does not belong to anybody. Similarly, the consciousness does not belong to anybody. The experience of that can be individual. The experience of that is collective and universal, but the flow of consciousness is impersonal. So remember this, that the consciousness is something that is impersonal, and you experience this as an individual, collective, and if you wish, you can experience this as a universal. Whatever is happening, whatever others are experiencing, it impacts how we are experiencing what we are experiencing in our life as well. Today, the topic of sustainability is all around. we suddenly woke up to realizing that we are all living on the same planet. No matter if we throw the garbage out of our house, at some point of time it comes back. So we have to be careful, and we have to act as one consciousness, as one species that is living on this planet. Not only on the level of matter, on the level of consciousness, it becomes even more significant that we understand, realize that we share one consciousness. And if somebody is unconscious, it impacts us in some or the other way. Another reason could be that when you become conscious in your life and you interact with the unconscious around you, this gap, this separation between the conscious and the unconscious, it starts becoming more and more in your life. And you must have seen that meditators who are meditating and spending time in meditation and having their consciousness rising beyond the normal, they start to have a dysfunctional relation with the rest of the world. They start to act, or others start to perceive them in a strange way. So there is this dysfunctionality that is created if we don't take the collective, if we don't take the other unconscious together with us and raise this above the conscious, and raise this to a level of not just the individual conscious, but also to the collective conscious, to the universal conscious. In this session, you will experience two things. If you forget about all the theory, you will still take away two things. One, you will experience, if you go deep enough in the visualization, that you are not just consciousness on an individual level. You will experience, you'll raise yourself above just the individual consciousness to the collective and to the universal. Which means not that you will start feeling other people's body and other people's mind. It just means on the level of consciousness, you will raise above just your individuality and start to feel that we are sharing collectively in this room and outside in this world the same consciousness. You can let it expand in the universe and let the whole universe be in your consciousness. That would be your experience number one. And the second experience that is unique in this meditation session is that you will have the silence, you will bring the silence on this universal consciousness, on this universal conscious level, where once you raise yourself to the universal conscious and you become silent, the whole universe becomes silent, the whole collective becomes silent. As a concept, it may not have enough logic to it, but as an experience, see for yourself if this brings anything in your experience as an individual, in your experience as collective, in your experience as a universal consciousness. How we are going to do that? There would be 4 steps in today's meditation. Step number 1, once you're sitting calmly, you will acknowledge your individuality. You'll bring your awareness inwards. You'll acknowledge your body, you'll acknowledge your mind, you'll acknowledge everything that you call as yourself, as an individual. You'll acknowledge all that. As a second step, you will acknowledge and bring your awareness to your individual consciousness, which means the awareness from where this awareness is coming from, of the body and of the mind and of all what is there in your experience, from where this consciousness is coming from. That your individual consciousness, that would be step number 2, to acknowledge that, to become more aware of your individual consciousness. Once your awareness is established, then we'll go to step number 3, where you let your awareness, your consciousness expand to the collective, to the universal. In the 4th step, you will bring silence to the universal consciousness, to the collective, and to yourself. And you'll act from the universal consciousness, not just for yourself. You'll not just be silent for yourself, but for everyone in this existence, and let that silence bring its harmony, peace, joy, happiness, whatever it brings, and shower upon us as humans sitting here collectively, individually, and also universally. With that, I would like to invite you to close your eyes. Make sure you have a nice, comfortable posture. Your back is straight. Shoulders down. Head straight. Face relaxed, and a gentle smile on your face. Take a nice deep breath, inhale from the nose, and exhale from the nose. Let your body settle. Let your breath settle. Let your mind settle. Awareness inwards, and feel your body, your legs, your back, your abdomen, chest, neck, head, awareness of your entire body, Observe your body. With every breath, let your awareness settle inwards, feeling your body, as the stillness in your body grows. Observe your mind. Let your body become still, mind silent, and your awareness on your mind. Hold your awareness on yourself. a sense of an individual. Awareness on your consciousness. Let go of the body, let go of the mind, and remain aware of your consciousness. The feeling that I am. Remain aware of your consciousness. And slowly let your consciousness expand. Visualize your consciousness expanding in this room. Feeling your consciousness is everyone else's consciousness. We all share one consciousness. Let the consciousness expand. One consciousness of the entire world. Visualize this universal consciousness. One consciousness that we all share. Let silence, stillness rise in this one consciousness. one silent consciousness that we all share. Feel the silence, stillness, remain aware and silent, conscious of one consciousness. Let go in this silence and awareness. Bring the awareness back to your breath. Notice your stillness, centeredness, silence. And very gently and slowly, you may open your eyes. or keep them closed for another few minutes.